Welcome to Also Consider This, the podcast where we value nuance, perspective, and knowledge so that we can all be.
Also clever thinkers.
I am the second most famous Alistair on the podcasting scene.
My name is Guo Feng.
The past week was kind of a slow news week.
Yeah.
It's either a slow news week or there are certain topics that politically a bit sensitive. I think we better think a bit more before we talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be reactionary for the view count or the engagement.
Yes. View counts, of course, appreciated.
Yeah.
But you have to be a bit deeper, more progressive. Yeah. And not too dark though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the main topic that I would like to talk about today is about pickleball complaints. So I think that pickleball complaints have gotten a lot of social media engagement, either on, if let's say a Mothership or Straits Times post something about pickleball on social, there are always a lot of comments about it. On Reddit, there are lots and lots of comments and people sharing things about pickleball. And then recently, Steve Chia even started doing a documentary on pickleball.
The Talking Boy one, is it?
Yes. So talking about how MIDI sounding a pickleball is as compared to football and basketball.
Yeah.
And then I think Yalabat has done like multiple episodes on multiple segments about the latest things that they reacted to in the news about pickleball. And the most recent one is the ridiculous thing where they put up a metal fence as a net in the badminton court.
Oh, yes.
So that,
I heard about that.
Yeah, so that you can only play badminton and then, without thinking that they might injure sepak takraw players. Yeah, because if you got a metal fence for a net, you can't kick the ball without risking kicking a metal thing and breaking your foot, right? So because it has driven a lot of conversation in town, and I think I have noticed that this thing is actually a recurring trend. That is a trend not in the sense that it is trendy, but rather there is a pattern that I think I have noticed at the very least.
About Singapore psyche in that sense.
Yes, about how we live. So the pickleball complaints, right? Let's start with the pickleball complaints. Usually people talk about it as being too loud because the pop sound of the ball hitting the bat is quite outstanding. I wouldn't say it's sharp because it's technically not very sharp. It's very outstanding. You can very obviously hear it.
It's signature of the sport.
Yes.
In that sense.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, if you are playing a sport like that, that popping sound is part of the enjoyment of the
because
the sport.
I have friends who play the sport and they say that if you hit it at the sweet spot of the pedal, then you get that very nice sound.
Yeah.
That's how they judge like whether they hit it sweetly or not.
Yes.
Or whether you're using a cheap racket or you're using a more expensive like the carbon fiber one or using just the
run of the mill cheap.
The cheaper ones.
Yeah. So, and then there's also, I mean, it's similar to some other sports, right? Like if you're talking about badminton, there's you have when you hit the right smash, there's this right smacking sound and stuff like that. So I can understand, although I don't play it, I can understand it's a part of the sport that makes it more enjoyable. And there are other sports that also have, but then you see, then there's also the noise complaints when it comes to people being excited. Because you can't possibly play a sport without being happy or cheery or
just be stoic. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be just sitting there with a stone face when you're playing pickleball.
Or even if you are like, you're playing with friends and then you are taking turns to get on the sidelines, you will also be excited for whoever's playing.
Exactly. Or you will shout across the court to talk to the person, to say something to the person across the court. And
exactly. Yeah.
So that's part and parcel of the noise that people complain about. And then, of course, there's also another complaint of pickleball that is it is taking up space that other sports should have taken. So originally, it would have probably been a badminton court or a sepak takraw court that has been taken over by a pickleball court. And then if you look at even the private clubs, right, like country clubs and all that,
the tennis courts has been converted into pickleball courts and so on and so forth.
Yes, because there is demand and the demand is driven the conversion.
Yes.
Right. So then and I feel that it's very I see the same arguments happen again. It's just that the sport is different.
Yes.
So let me give you an example. In the past, what has happened? Let's talk about football. No, let's talk about basketball first, because the example is a bit less obvious. Do you notice that there are fewer and fewer basketball courts in HDB estates?
Yes, I've noticed because you and not just you, but a few of my friends have bought a BTO of their own. And then when you go into a new estate, it seems as though the usual stuff, I mean, you have your eateries, you have your neighborhood shops and stuff like that. But it seems as though the common space previously was like a playground, then the playground will have a basketball court, or some even estates will have a street soccer court kind of thing. But it's been like replaced with a park or just like a common space or like it becomes like a roof garden nowadays rather than like the common space has been changed to something that's not really sport related, but just like a recreational space, a fitness corner at most.
Yes, it's a place for like quiet sitting rather than a place for like public engagement sort of thing.
Yeah.
So like so where we're set at, right? We're at Bidadari.
Yeah.
Right? It's a totally new town, started construction in the 2010s.
Yeah.
And you would notice that there are no basketball courts, there are no badminton courts, there are no street soccer courts, none of those sorts.
And even the playground is very sanitized, if I might say so. It's like it is just a slide and maybe like a small play corner for kids. It no longer has like the monkey bar, last time we have, yes, we have shifted from sand to like, let's say rubberized ground kind of thing. But there's no longer, it's very sanitized where it's just going to be like a small corner for kids to go to, but it doesn't have that spaces where like kids will potentially make noise. Even the fixtures that they put inside the playgrounds are like quiet in that sense.
Yes. So like this block that we are at now, there are three. So this little estate here, the sub estate, right, has got 3 playgrounds. So there's no wide open space anymore. There are 3 small playgrounds. One on the roof garden of where the car park, the roof of the car park is a roof garden. There's 1 playground. There's another playground. There are 2 more playgrounds on the ground floor by the car park. And then I think there are 2 other small playgrounds or 1 small other playground on the rooftop of this block, right? And it seems like, they sort of split the playgrounds to make them smaller so that the potential for noise is sort of reduced.
Yeah, it's no longer like blocks. Then there's a central area. It's more like small pockets here, small pockets here, small pockets
yes,
here.
the looking at it, the Dragon Playground is as extinct as ever.
Yeah.
Like it will never come back again because it's an open space that people will not want. They will complain about the noise coming from that, right? Same as like basketball courts. So like the nearest basketball court from me, right, is I don't even think my CC has a ready available basketball court because there's badminton players there. The nearest basketball court is like a half court, and I would need to take a bus 2 stops down, plus walk another 100 meters or so before I can see a basketball hoop. Right. And then the longest one is the longest standing one is football. Right. So
no football on void decks.
No football on void decks. Then if you have certain like pavilions, like there were certain pavilions, then you end up having you see spikes on the wall designed to puncture balls.
Oh, I never actually paid
attention
to that. Yeah.
I've seen some of those in like Tampines.
Oh.
You see like, or even in MacPherson. So it's like there's a pavilion, right? So that pavilion, it could be used as a place for some weddings or parties, funeral wakes.
Okay, so it's like a multi-purpose
space, right? Yeah, then they will put spikes on the wall because if it's not being used for event purpose, it's an open space and it's sheltered. So for kids, it's very natural to want to kick a ball inside there, and they deliberately put spikes on the wall so that you can't kick a ball, you might damage your ball.
Yeah, and I would also want to add is that because I still stay in a more more developed estate, so it's not a new estate. It will consider almost a silver estate, really lah. I mean, like
it's like built in the 80s kind.
Yeah, built in the 80s. So it's like mostly it's considered like almost becoming a silver zone. So there's still a basketball court. I stay on top of a basketball court actually.
Yep.
But even though the timing, I mean the legal regulation was that what by 10 they will shut off the
Lights.
and stuff like that. But you see that most kids also don't play beyond like a certain time.
Yeah.
It seems as though because of this mentality, we kind of self-regulated ourselves to no longer enjoy games after a certain time. I'm not sure whether is it like it's just because of regulation, or is it like they kind of, it becomes ingrained in the psyche where it's like, okay, we shouldn't make too much noise. And I also noticed that like even the playground that like the blocks there's a central playground in the area. There isn't the usual noise anymore.
I mean, it's a place where there are more elder care centers than childcare centers.
Yes.
Like if you come to my estate, there are far more childcare centers
than elder care. Yeah.
Correct. So but the general idea is that like we have this feeling that because people complain about it, therefore things happen in the courts, right? They shut off the lights, or they fence up the thing, or they lock the doors,
and
or something like
parents start to not, okay, like if it's too noisy, I'm not going to bring my kid down. I don't want to have stares from neighbors.
Yes.
Or like people throwing eggs or water down the...
You mean that happens?
I mean, I've heard of it happening.
Okay.
Like people who really don't like that sound, then they resort to all these things.
Yes. And then recently I saw a video that was on Mothership on their IG. This lady was like playing pickleball on her own, but she was playing on the void deck. So she was smacking the ball against the wall.
Yeah.
And then of course you see a lot of complaints and comments and all the negativity in the comments box for that video. And then moving out of the HDB estates, right? We talk about cycling, right? So as like from 2025, 2024, 2024 until now, 2025, going to 26. Yeah, going to 26. The sport of hate is now pickleball.
Previously, it was the cyclists.
Right? Yeah. All these cyclists, taking up space on the roads.
Oh, they don't pay road tax, then why should they use the road?
Yes, and then people are annoyed by these people. So then there are rules that come in. The government is pressured to have rules come in. And then the government ends up enforcing very archaic rules, in my opinion. My opinion is that the rules on cycling are far too harsh, and they are not even they're not even set in logic. The rules don't seem to make sense in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And I think we spoke about it before, that it seems as though sometimes the rules and we would even go and say that sometimes these rules doesn't actually help to diffuse the situation, but it actually adds fuel to the fire, because the hate, the seeming hate online seems to be magnified, or it's being driven to a whole new level because of all these regulations taking place. Like when there's a news report saying that, the transport minister or LTA has came out to say that, okay, the rules will be in place from this date to this date onwards, then everyone who is in favor of the rules will start, hooray, down with the cyclists. Then there's like all this kind of thing. Yeah, they should be driven off the road. If I see a cyclist, then I'll do this. Then like...
Yeah. And the thing is that the pattern that I see here is there'll be people who feel that their lives are disrupted. And then there's a lot of complaints. And we have a complaint culture. So, and then the authorities or some authority would put up some rules or put up some measures to appease the complainant, but not necessarily think about the user, the person on the other side.
Yeah.
I find that they don't really think about the user on the other side, the person playing the sport on the other side, because there is a healthy lifestyle to it also. There's also a community element to it also, but somehow that is kind of ignored. And then it becomes, and then the rules are set to appease the complainant. And then when you set up the rules to appease the complainant and it becomes a regulation or a law, then it becomes a bet that is given to the complainant to beat the person enjoying the sport.
Yeah.
So like the pickleball will be, in the case of pickleball, it will be a case of like, oh, this is the time that you're supposed to get out. So get the hell out.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel it is even more drastic in the sense that 10, I don't know, was it 10 or 10:30 or whatever, particular stipulated time, right? But people will be like, it's 10. I mean, I've seen cases where people we have seen on Storm and stuff like that, like you're supposed to get out by this time, but then some people are not happy because their bedtime is slightly earlier, then they got disrupted, then they say like, no, I want you out by this time because, but then the other person who's legitimately there, legally there, using the facilities and say that, no, but the legal time is this. But then you say that, no lah.
I will use that same bet. The knife is edged on both sides, right?
Yeah.
And the sword is edged on both sides, and then you just fight back using that same rule. And it becomes very confrontational at a different level. It's not as if the rules really sort out the problem. And
it becomes like a book that we take to smack each other on the head.
Yes, exactly. And then like the case of the cycling on the road thing. So in an attempt to appease certain road users, they created this 10 cyclists to a group rule. And then when they created this 10 cyclists to a group rule, it became a whole vigilante thing. People started filming other people, this group has 11 people. And then they started to pressure the government to enforce the rules such that if you had a group of 10 and then some random straggler came behind you and made the 11th person, then the whole... So you may be out with a group of 10, exactly 10 friends, following the rules, but the 11th ghost friend came along and then the book is thrown at everybody, right? And then, and then when it goes out, then people start making even more comments online.
The rule states this. Why can't you all follow the rules? See, cyclists cannot follow rules.
Yes, and then to make things worse, because there is a justified angst against a cyclist, then people start to actually drive in a way that is even more aggressive because they feel that they're justified. It's like, okay, because they don't follow the rules, I don't have to follow the rules, or I can be aggressive to these people because they're not rule followers.
Or they're not legitimate road users in my eyes.
Yes. So it becomes another Sinkie Pwn Sinkie situation.
Yeah.
Just like the pickleball court situation, it's also a Sinkie Pwn Sinkie situation.
Yeah.
And everybody just complain at each other, throw the book at each other, and then the authority in the middle is also kind of caught to like throw the book at the person back or issue tickets or lock the doors and all that kind of thing. And it makes living really difficult amongst each other. And I find that there is more to it, and we shouldn't be just throwing the book at each other like that.
Yeah, I think for me, what I see is like Singapore seems to the general populace, it gives me that the psyche is like we just want safe spots. Like we want cycling as an alternate last mile commute solution. But I don't want cycling when there is a chance that I could get hit on the cycling lane.
Or it blocks my way to work.
Or it blocks my way to work. Yeah. Or because some cyclists decided to be a bit more aggressive, or they kind of like become an obstacle on the road kind of thing, then all cyclists are like that. Then we shouldn't have cycling at all. Then, or like, let's say pickleball. One person decided to play with a loud ball at 8:30 p.m., even though it's but then I have a baby sleeping in the thing. Then all pickleball players are scums of the earth, that they don't, they shouldn't play the sport because it disrupts my personal space.
Yeah.
Then it becomes like I'm just thinking of my view, and then it becomes like, because my space got intruded, then it becomes an all or nothing thing. Like it's either all cyclists are okay or all cyclists are not okay. Then when the middle ground, the good ones who stick by the rules and they play with they play by the rules and they don't try to be a nuisance. Or sometimes the nuisance is not even purposely they want to be a nuisance, but it's just natural. Like, for example, pickleball, the sound is like that. Or if I'm a cyclist, I definitely will take up space on the road shoulder, right? I try my best to be on the road shoulder. I don't block the cars, I signal, or I stick to the group size thing. But then it becomes like an all or nothing thing in the eyes of the public, or the typical road user, or the resident in the area. Then this all or nothing thing seems to be, then there's no end to it lah. Because on one side, I will say that if I'm the resident, the all or nothing thing is that all pickleball cannot, which is why we see the metal fence thing being set up, right? Then the pickleball people will be like, then they'll be unhappy, then they'll start to, some people do it out of spite. Like even though I can use a quiet ball, I purposely, because it's my legal right to play here, then I just use it to show my discontent in the sense of when people come in to say, to throw the book at me, I'll tell them, no, I also have the right to be here. Then it becomes a all or nothing confrontation.
Yeah, I would call it an entitlement loop.
Yeah.
I'm entitled to this, and that.
And the authorities tell me can.
Yes, and therefore I'm entitled to this quiet space and quiet time. And then the person who has the court says that, no, I'm entitled to use this court between 8:30 and 9:30, right? And I will do whatever I would please, so long I'm playing the sport, right? I will do whatever I please. I will use the standard loud ball and all that kind of thing, without thinking about like what is respectful to the other person. Yeah.
Then it's like both sides are calling the other side entitled without seeing that they also have that kind of.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I feel that the thing is that, okay, we live in a city, and a city on a relatively small island. I think we also have to understand that all activities need space.
Definitely.
Right? So like all activities need space. Ministers may not think that we need a lot of space, but the thing is that to live our lives, our lives are constituted of many activities. And sport is one of those things.
Yeah.
Play is one of those things. And we need that space.
And yeah, you might not be a follower or avid hobbyist, but there will be people around you who are going to subscribe to this kind of activities.
Yes.
So you have to then, we sometimes then have to take a step back and say that, yeah, there's legitimate, and it's not that these choices or these activities are not legitimate. They are not illegal. They do not, if done in the right spirit and the right way, it doesn't bring harm to any people, and rather it can actually be beneficial to
the community.
The community, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nobody plays pickleball just to spite another person.
Yeah.
Let's be frank. Turn it the other way around. Argument that we need space for these things, right? Let's use the most so-called extreme, quiet example possible of a communal or community activity that requires space. Okay? Let's talk about the community garden. Right? So in certain estates, on the ground floor, what used to be probably just a grass patch becomes a community garden.
Then it's like everybody gets an allotment kind of thing.
Yeah, some people, if they want, they can organize with their neighbors, and the grassroots would say, oh, you can grow certain plants here, you can grow papayas or whatever,
or
not
chili, or
you can grow your own chili padi or your own pandan leaves or whatever, not, and you can residents on the may want to have a space, because if you're living on the 15th floor, there's no chance for you to like plant things, right? If you have a garden like that, right? Let me say this. I feel that if you wanted to complain and have that entitlement loop, right?
Yeah.
That garden can also be very offensive to some people. Why? There'll be people who don't like bugs, right? So if then they may feel that, oh, there's a communal garden, and then they have like plants that flower, and when you have flowers, you have like bees and hornets and stuff that sting flying into it, and they are like 10,
you're
20.
attracting the flora and fauna is attracting undesirables.
Yeah, so they got there's a bee flying 20 meters away from your door, right? And then some people will say like, oh, this is affecting my living space. Then what? Are you going to like start setting fire to the garden? Right? This is of course it's an extreme way of saying it, but there are bound to be, I can imagine there might be complaints of people saying that, hey, you grow these plants, right? It's going to affect my living space and all that. But here's the thing, that it doesn't that require you to have everybody to have some level of tolerance and give in a sort of civic mindedness, give some way and give some space so that people can live their lives as reasonably fit, right? Just like you would not, just like you would this is a complaint, right? This is a complaint that will be similar to complaining about the noise in the basketball court.
Or in this case,
Yeah.
a pickleball court.
Yes, because it is something from outside that's affecting your life inside your own living space, right? And I feel that there's the need for these spaces because we have to live our lives.
And life is not just about staying, but it's about living life in the sense that our life is enriched by all these other activities that will bring joy and then allow you to be in commune with others lah.
Exactly, by playing pickleball with your neighbors or
Planting, whatever your interest may be. Yeah.
yes, exactly. And having constant complaints about that is not really helpful. I will find that, and then like you talk about common corridors and things like that. Should we, using the same frame of mind, should we be complaining about your neighbor's children running across your front door during the day? So, let's say you're having a meeting at home, it's 2 p.m, you're doing a phone call meeting, and then the kids come back from school and they run across your corridor and there's a little bit of a stomping noise for 10 seconds and you get annoyed. Is that something that, that really actually, does it really actually disrupt your meeting? Does it make your meeting not happen at all?
Or could it be that sometimes is that we are so how do you call it? We are so sanitized in the sense that our spaces are so sanitized that we no longer is able to even bear with a little bit of disruption, inconvenience, or noise.
Yeah, I would say that it's kind of like we are living in a clean room environment kind of thing.
Yeah, which is why I think that's why some people who say that like Singapore here is like it's so clean, but at the same time because of the cleanliness of things, it's very orderly that we don't see kind of the culture, the organic culture that this place that used to have.
I mean, like the pickleball speck of the pop of a pickleball seems like a speck of dust on an orderly image. If I would like to draw that analogy, and it's very hard to continuously complain about each other this way, and then just hate on each other, and the whole thing just goes out of proportion, and then it's dragged on for so many months, right? And then every month there's this new piece of news that people will shit on every other week about pickleball that I'm kind of like bored of it.
Then also in the sense that we understand that these things need space, but then if you were to look on the other side of things, is that some might then argue is that if you want to go and play your pickleball, why don't you join a club where there's like the space is like far away from residential areas, and then it is like somewhere in the middle of like, I don't know, Changi or something that has these spaces for you to play.
I think this point was proven previously. If you remember what was known as the Home United Football Academy at Mata Road, today known as the Lion City Sailors Academy, right? And many years ago, if you go and Google it, you will probably find something along those lines where basically the Home United youngsters were training on the grounds. And basically in that area, if you look at the map, you will see that next to the training ground, it is a very wide canal.
Yeah.
And then a hawker center. And
then circuit road
there's circuit road blocks. If not, it's across the road, there's some condo blocks. And there were residents on those condo blocks at HDBs complaining that the youngsters playing on the pitch in the evening was disrupting and making too much noise.
Then the floodlights are too blinding. Then it's disrupting.
But for a start, consider this: the distance between the actual pitches and the residents is actually quite far.
Yeah.
And then to add to that, floodlights, let's be fair, they turn off. They wouldn't be playing at 12 midnight. They may play till 10 and then they will turn it off. But the complaints got to the point where they had to shut the whole place early at like 8 something at that point in time.
Which doesn't make sense actually.
Yeah, and your argument about why don't you find a space in the corner where you don't disrupt anyone's lives?
This is the corner.
That's the corner, and yet you still tell them to shut it down. So at what at what end are we going to do it? Are you going to force everyone to start playing football at Lim Chu Kang next to the cemeteries where really nothing happens? You know, there is, no matter how you look at it, there is some level of give and take, so to speak.
Yeah.
Even cemetery ground has a level of give and take in terms of policy for the government, right?
Yeah, like even, let's say, our transport system, that people started complaining. Remember when the MRT system first came up, the North-South line? I think that's the easiest way to see things. People didn't really bother that much. It's only in, I don't know, the late 90s, early 2000s, people started to say that, well, the track drive past my house, then like, even though there's a then people start to complain, then SMRT has to invest onto sound barriers to insulate the sound from residents, which on one hand I understand, but on the other hand is that are we also, this is like a case of like, no matter how much we can do, there will be bound to be people who would want to complain that there's sound.
I mean, on that point, right? I have someone in the family that lives not too far from an MRT track in Bedok. And from the window, if you look out for it, you really can hear, and that is not like the windows facing the track.
The track, yeah.
It's like 2 blocks away, 2 tower blocks away from the track. And you can hear a bit of that. But the thing is that, you know, it is what it is in a way. And frankly, it's not in your face. So I feel that sometimes you have to sort of there's sometimes, unfortunately, you have to give in a little bit.
Because of the limited space that we are in on this island.
We are living on an island that has limited space. We need to get to work and school and play. And then it's not possible to have everyone on cars. And if everyone's on cars, it also has another form of disruption for everybody. I think sometimes we just have to give in a little bit.
Just like,
like the RSAF right now joining us, right?
Yeah.
We just sometimes have to live with it and sort of accept that as part of life. Just like you have to accept the fact that living in Singapore, the weather's going to be hot. No amount of complaining to the government will solve this hot weather problem.
Then coming back to the idea of the space thing, right? Like let's put everybody tucked away in a corner. Then it doesn't bother me. Then they can be kumbaya on their own on that. All the pickleball players go there. All the cyclists go here. Then the soccer people go here. Then the basketballers are here. Then what then does it mean to have a communal space?
Exactly. And on the flip side, if let's say you live an extremely quiet life and your only hobby is gardening, does it mean that if because of the bugs, the only place you can do your gardening is
go Lim Chu Kang,
go to Kranji, take the MRT, and then you go to somewhere near Kranji War Memorial or the Turf City area, and then you can do your gardening there? I don't think that's really a way to live our lives, right?
Yeah.
It means that would be as if like you only can go to eat in Changi or something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. I think fortunately or unfortunately, we have a tight space in Singapore, and we have to have that. We have to, pun intended, exercise grace.
Yeah.
We have to exercise restraint, grace, and some sort of magnanimity to sort of say that, okay, like, so long it's not is done respectfully, let's give them a bit of that space and let them have that leeway.
Yeah, so I also want to bring up a point where it might be a bit controversial, but we do exercise this grace when it comes to certain more sensitive aspects. Like, let's say religious rites. Let's say we talk about funerals. We talk about the Hungry Ghost Festival. We talk about Malay weddings. We talk about our Indian weddings around the void decks and around our communal spaces. If we are able to do that, then why can't we also do it for other communal activities such as sport, such as your whatever that the community, there's an interest group that wishes to do this?
Exactly. Like, if you really wanted to, inverted commas, complain about other religious practices, right? There's a lot to go on.
Yeah.
But we have, the positive side is we have learned to accept everybody needs their space and their freedom to do their expression, but with certain limitations. So, for example, the Chinese, when we have Chinese New Year and all that, we don't do fireworks anymore. We don't, there's certain, the burning of joss sticks and papers is limited to
To a
certain
space,
to a certain space, right? If certain rights are not practiced in the Malay Muslim community,
Or they do it in a area that is set aside for these rights. Yeah.
Correct. And then if talking about like the Hindu Indian community, the
Taipusam and their religious rites is done in Little India in an area that is they call their own.
It's regulated, but everybody also understands that, hey, this is a festival. They may need to close off one lane on South Bridge Road because the Indian temple, the Hindu temple in South Bridge Road needs to do a like Timothy or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Then okay, let's have that. Give them the space, let them do it. Life still goes on because that is part of life, right?
And National Day Parade, we have it every year, and it's like weekly from like
June to August.
June to August usually.
Yeah.
And we take it as a matter of fact of being Singaporean, and it's part of.
Or even if it's a suck thumb thing, right? We just suck it up. I also have to say this: on a weekend, think about how actually disruptive the marathon is to your life on a Saturday or Sunday morning. It's actually not extremely disruptive. You may not be able to freely travel down Nico Highway on a Saturday or Sunday during marathon weekend. Think about it this way. Cycling on the road, people who road cycle generally don't cycle after 8 a.m. They may drag on a weekend till about 9-10, but after that it's too hot to do anyway. Then the thing is that most of them come out at 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning, 5:30 a.m. in the morning.
They do their rounds and then they go home and they have a breakfast.
Then in reality, right, how disruptive are they? I mean, just think about it, right?
Then what then do you say to, let's say, the pickleball? I stay on top of a pickleball court. They play until 10 every night. I cannot sleep.
Then I think that's, to be fair, right? There's also grace that is required from the person taking part in the sport. Yes, I understand. If you want to take the one that is super noisy and there's a pop sound and you really like, you scored the 10 out of 10 sound, even if you don't actually score the point, but that sound makes you feel so damn good, right?
Use a quieter ball.
Either you use a quieter ball
play in the morning,
or you really have to unfortunately pay for an indoor facility that allows you to have that pop.
Exercise restraint in that sense.
Yes, there's some level of restraint necessary, and it's a bit of everyone on each side has to sort of give a little bit.
Yeah,
because we don't have that
exercise a bit of common sense. Like sometimes, like you go to a new place, you play with the loud ball. Then if people say, can you soften down? Then I change to a quieter ball. Then I don't go and like, because out of spite, then I want to test what I want to push the envelope. Then I go and.
Yeah, but common sense is not common, right?
Yeah.
Some pickleball players will say that it's common sense, right? The point of playing this is to have that shockness, right? So that sort of that great feeling, right? So my common sense is that you're supposed to let me play with as much noise as I like, so long as within hours, right? And come on, I don't think common sense is that common. What is more important is having a bit of restraint and respect. If let's say a resident really comes down and says that like it really is really disruptive, I got a baby and all that, switch to a quieter ball. Person who complains about the noise probably needs to say that, okay, at least this person has sought to quieter balls. Probably I just need to like go to another room or something. Yes, this life is a bit disrupted, but I think there's some level of restraint needed, right? And
like not to take it to the extreme and like I'm going to call police every single time, that kind of thing.
I think there's just throw the book at each other and all that kind of thing. It doesn't speak well of us for just constantly just getting on each other's butts. Yeah,
and I think that's when it starts to kind of come back to that whole argument or the whole point that people say that Singapore seems to be, we lost the kampong spirit. The allure of home is that it feels homely. It feels that there's a liveliness to it. But now it's because we are so isolated in our own cubby holes of our apartments, our BTO apartments, condos, or whatever, that it is your home, but it doesn't feel like a collective home because it is so sanitized. And because we don't exercise that restraint, or we don't exercise that communal spirit in that sense, not in the sense of like we must always be like, wow, whole family, Singaporean, the National Day kind of.
It's not all kumbaya.
Yeah, that kind of idea. But the idea of that, we exercise restraint, we exercise a bit of grace, we exercise a bit of that. Yeah lah, I give and take lah. The guy has a baby that's crying, can't really sleep. Then I'm playing, then I play softer lor. I don't shout that loud lah. I exercise a bit instead of like, it's within my right to be like that.
Yes.
I go and measure on my phone. Sir, I didn't exceed that dB. Why you go and complain?
Yeah.
Then sometimes the people who complain also, they go and measure using the phone. Then they police report. They say this. Then like using the books to throw at each other. That doesn't seem to help the situation at all.
Yes. I have being in the new BTO estate, you have a BTO estate Telegram chat, right?
Yeah.
And since we have moved in, like most of us have moved in, the chat has sort of quietened down. Because in the past, you'll be talking about, oh, I got this contractor to do this for me.
Oh, group buy. I want to buy this.
I've installed. Which door lock which door lock do you get? Which ISP did you get? Are you on StarHub or Singtel? Or what kind of smart switches you installed? That conversation has died down, and it's now turned into a complaint channel. It's turned to a total complaint channel. So like there are two biggest complaints that recently happened around here. The first is that most recently somebody had a dog appear in their house. The dog started barking all day all night.
Oh.
It's like 4 a.m, you can hear a dog barking randomly. Not very loud, but when it's pin drop quiet and you hear a dog barking in the distance, it can give you a scare lah.
Yeah.
You might think there's some other worldly being here, Yeah. But then somebody put it up there and said that, oh, there's I'm like housing a dog for a few days. I think it's probably some
dog sitting with a friend who's traveling or something like that lah.
Either that or it's like those, there's this volunteer scheme where people house a dog for a few days for other people to adopt.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that. So it's like, okay, the dog is not in the environment that it's used to. It's making a bit of noise. And yes, I really understand that the noise can, for myself, right, the noise can, it scared me in the middle of the night. I was editing a podcast and suddenly a bird sound and it's like, oh my God, I got a jump scare for no good reason. But I have to also, in my mind, I'm just thinking, okay, this is part of living, right? I cannot expect perfect silence.
This is communal housing. You want to be on an island, then yeah, but Singapore is not.
Unfortunately, this is not really the space. And similarly, like another one is if you went to my lift lobby on the ground floor, you will see that there's a notice on the wall that says that if you live on this cluster, that means like because on every floor the unit number is the same, right? Just that the floor number is different. If you're on this set of floors, can you please stop smoking at your window? My kids are struggling in their sleep because we sleep with our windows open. And then please don't smoke. And then and I would suggest for your health to consider quitting smoking. So there was one notice there. Then after that, the notice disappeared. A new notice appeared. And then the new notice, when it appeared, right, the cluster number from like for example, 111, it became like 111 and 113, something like that. Okay?
Yeah.
Numbers,
maybe it's an expanded area.
Numbers anonymized for privacy reasons. Okay.
Yeah.
But like these two numbers can you please, then after that, right? After that first notice went out, few days later, another notice appeared next to that first notice because like that first notice didn't seem to have created an effect. And realistically, it's like, come on, have some restraint.
Yeah.
Right? It's like respect your neighbors, respect each other. Like if there's a good reason, it's a very well stated good reason, please don't do it at home. Then please just take the lift downstairs. As much as it is very
inconvenient.
It's inconvenient, especially when you're trying to enjoy something. I think a level of respect is required.
I would also actually then challenge a bit of and expand that idea a little bit more. In the sense that I think I noticed this not just in our communal spaces at home, but communal spaces when we go out and about. And a young family is taking public transport with like a stroller, and the kid is like, it's a newborn or it's like a young toddler, and the kid cries. And then sometimes it's like we give the death stare to the parents, like it's like you're disrupting my like quiet commute kind of thing. But in the same way, we can talk to our friends and stuff like that. There will be times where, yes, our lives will be inconvenienced by someone else, but can we also try to then see it from the other person's perspective, that even when we have communal spaces, even when we are out and about, that we don't resort to like death stares, or we don't
Point fingers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the kid cries. It's normal that a kid will cry. I go to church, and then sometimes, the new parents, they bring the kids. So some of our places may not have it's a slightly smaller space. They don't have a crash room or
the child safe
lounge,
space.
a parents' lounge kind of thing. So then they bring the kid to the hall. Then the kid starts crying. Then sometimes then one of our pastors actually stood up and said that it is perfectly okay that a kid's cry. If a kid doesn't cry, then I'll be worried.
Yeah, exactly.
Then in the same way that kids will run around, kids will make noise, elderly is gonna inconvenience us sometimes. And I am guilty of that as well. Like sometimes I'm rushing to go to a place, then an uncle slowly get out of the gantry, and I'm like, wow, uncle, I need to rush time, sorry. Then you'll be like, that kind. So it happens to the best of us.
Yes, it happens to the best of us. And also, hopefully, like, of course, if you're on the other side, if let's say you have the kid, try and like soothe the kid, make the kid quieter. Don't just leave it. Don't be entitled. Say, kids make noise, so I just gonna let my kid go crazy, right?
If we both take a step back, then it helps this whole place to be more habitable in that sense.
Yes,
or it expands to like our sport, our recreational activities as well.
Understand the intentions of everybody else, right? If you can understand that person is trying their best to make things better for everybody, then give them the space to do it for themselves, right? If a parent is already trying to soothe a crying baby on the bus, don't further give a death stare and make it more pressure for that kid, for that parent, just don't have to make it worse for other people also.
Yeah.
Life is hard enough.
Especially being in a small space here. By the way, this is not a sponsored podcast by the Singapore Kindness Movement, but
it's also neither an endorsed message by President Taman that says respect for all.
Yeah, but we do echo similar sentiments from both President Taman and also the Singapore Kindness Movement.
Yeah, respect for all.
Yeah. How about what we have learned?
I will start with what I learned recently. So, professionally, I'm a marketer. And I think one of the things that has hit marketing a lot lately is ChatGPT or large language models. Now, one of the biggest channels for marketing all along has been Google search. That's how Google became Smog. Yeah. Where they can have this whole vault of gold coins everywhere, right?
And then the key term became SEO.
Yes, SEO or SEM.
Yeah.
SEO meaning SEO refers to organic search, SEM refers to paid search, right? So it means like if you're searching for say Club Med holidays, and then you press enter, and then and then the certain travel agent comes up. So once upon a time there was 5 cents, and then now it's like dollars per click. If let's say a business can give a revenue of $10,000, for example, then the business is willing to pay more for the clicks.
Yeah.
And therefore you can pay $3, $4, $5, even double-digit numbers
for one click.
Yes, and therefore Google has been getting very rich for the last more than 10 odd years, 20 years out of this. So this is the gold mine that Google has had for the longest time. But recently, it has been very heavily disrupted. How often in recent time have you gotten an answer to your question either on the ChatGPT search result or you went on Google and then Google gave you an AI answer and you are sorted?
I think nowadays, especially when they rolled out the Gemini as the top thing, right? I find that I don't have to click through anymore. I just look at whatever Gemini churns out and then I'm done. Or if I want something that's like I want a more like conversational style. I want something that's like, I may not like be very clear of what I'm looking for. I just need like a starting point. I sometimes will just go to ChatGPT instead.
Yes. So that also means that you almost never look at the search results, the pages that come below, or even worse, click through to look at those pages anymore.
Yeah, I think for me nowadays, if I'm looking for information, I'm not looking for a product or I'm not looking for a particular website that I use Google search for. I'm just like define this, or I'm looking for what does this mean.
Yeah.
I end up looking at the AI result rather than the search result actually.
Hence, there comes the problem for marketers, because in the game, even like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, probably, let's say you are searching for a result on cameras, like what does a longer focal length lens do, for example? In the past, you might have seen, a search result. There is a page. Some camera shop has put up a blog article saying that, because you use 200mm means you're more zoomed in. If you use 18mm, is more wide, zoomed out. So then you will actually get a chance to engage with a brand or a shop, right? But that is totally gone.
Yeah.
Because Google has answered your question. You will not even.
I don't need.
Yes, you don't need that guy to tell you anymore.
I just need a TLDR answer, basically.
Exactly. So that game has been heavily impacted by AI answers. Right? But then you see, let's be fair, most users have always wanted that. That's why places like Ask Jeeves have always existed, right?
You want a more human and a more curated answer to your question rather than like, go and find
that's
yourself.
one. And also the problem to solve is actually, I got a question, need an answer.
Yes.
Right. So this has actually shaken up the
Search
SEO
game.
Yeah, the search game. Some call it, the name is not fixed yet. Some call it
because
AEO.
it's a very nascent concept.
Yes. So some call it AEO, some which is answer engine optimization. Instead of search engine optimization,
or AI
or
something.
AI SEO.
Yeah.
Or some call it GEO, which is generative engine optimization.
Yep.
I think generally the term is starting to lean towards AEO because it's similar, and it because it's also the point is that you answer questions.
Yeah.
Long story short, for this part, I think it gets a bit technical for a broader audience. Simply put, the idea is, instead of long articles, is basically trying to do as many questions and answers on your own website. So that, if it's picked up by the search engine or the AI, then you tend to appear in the results more often.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, what's happening is that Google, Gemini, or ChatGPT has to cite its sources also.
Yeah.
So so that's the change in the game. But however, Google search is not dead yet. As of like September, October this year, there are various sources that say that if you go and search for this, you will find sources that say that yes, ChatGPT is starting to kill off Google search, but it is also, and it's changing how we deal with it, right? But Google search, in terms of search volumes, right, is 210 times bigger than ChatGPT still.
Yeah, and because they have that whole library, they can just use it to train Gemini, and then their model is still going to be bigger.
Yes. And I mean, ChatGPT, okay, when you say ChatGPT answers, it's not because like random things you tell ChatGPT to do. If you're talking about like searches that are very directly what you would have plugged into Google in the past, direct question searches on ChatGPT are 210 times lesser than Google search results, the search volumes. So it's not over. The game is not over yet, but it's happening.
Yep.
So this is what I've been learning lately. AI has not taken over everything yet, but it's fast and up and coming, and it's making a lot of changes in our lives. If you to take away anything for today I learned that Google search is still 210 times bigger than ChatGPT.
Even though ChatGPT is slowly taking over our...
It's Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah.
They do what they're doing every day, try and take over the world.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's that is this concept of what I've learned recently is this concept of the infinite game. I think the idea was first described by this scholar called James P. Cars in his book in 1986 called Finite and Infinite Games. And then most recently, it's being popularized by Simon Sinek. I think Simon Sinek is quite well known on a lot of in social media, especially. I think he has a TED Talk. He has his own YouTube channel, so he talks about leadership. He talks about organizations, leadership, and stuff like that.
And he has books on those topics
books on
as well.
those topics. And his book in 2019 is called The Infinite Game. So roughly what it means is that a finite game is like games that we are usually used to. So it's like there are fixed rules, known players, scoreboard, and winner and loser. So like think of things like, for example, we just talked about sport, right? Like football, who wins, who lose. So like exams, whether you pass or you fail, or like your KPI at work, whether you hit it or you miss it. And sometimes even like the subtle stuff that you might not know is like certain expectations that you have in social circles. Like whether that person meet your expectation or not. It's like a all or nothing, a 0 or 1 game lah.
And there's a frame. So let's say if you do a review of the annual review is a 1 year time frame.
Yeah.
If it's a football match, it's like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, and then the key factor is 1-0 or something like that.
So an infinite game, on the other hand, is like a game with no finish line. So it's like, so the idea of having an infinite game is that it is not to win, but to keep playing. So like the players in this game might change, the environment might shift, then the rules will evolve. So for example, it's like relationships. Let's say you are in a marriage, right? A marriage, you don't win marriage. There's no clear winner and loser in a marriage. Let's say health. There's no winning or losing in a sense of like, you can't say that you are the healthiest person. There's no like barometer to say that you are the healthiest person ever, right? And like parenting, there's no like best parent ever. It's a very subjective thing. And let's say leadership, they are the best boss ever. But it is something that you keep improving and you keep staying at it. So the idea of the infinite game is not to win per se, not to beat anyone, but to grow, adapt, and to contribute and to sustain the game that you keep playing.
Yes.
And
I mean, this is not a very commonly adopted way of thinking, because everyone's like sometimes the best presidents.
Yeah.
It's like the best presidents, like the biggest, the world's biggest, the most peaceful and all that. So I think it's a very different way of thinking. Because for example, like what best marriage, right? There's no such thing as a best marriage.
Yeah.
The game only ends when you die.
Yeah. So I think what struck me also, because how I got into it also was to, I think I've been thinking quite a lot about career, professional wise, and also life in general.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow or other in my head, I got recalled of this thing that Simon Sinek talked about, which is the infinite game. And then is that and after evaluating a lot, doing some self-reflection, is that it is very easy that we can sometimes mix two of these mindset. That we look at an infinite game with very finite game mindset. Like, then we kind of like, I need to win right here, right now, instead of thinking that I may not win right now, but I'm working towards winning or sustaining in the long term and doing well in the long term.
Yeah.
So end up we treat our relationships with people like competitions. Like, am I a better so it becomes very transactional. Like, is it like who has the upper hand in the relationship? Mm-hmm. Or let's say we say like marriage, right? Who has the upper hand?
Who count score who got the best score.
Yeah. Then careers become like races. I need to hit this milestone by this time.
The rat race idea.
Yeah, the rat race. And it's very Singaporean actually, because we like to frame a lot of things in a very finite mindset, like win-lose. Like I must. And especially like just now what we talked about, right? If this person gets to use the court, then I don't get my 7 hours sleep, then I lose.
Sinkie Pwn Sinkie.
Yeah. So then ends up there's a lot of frustration, and sometimes if let's say professionally you could get burnt out, or sometimes even that I kind of win already, but I still feel empty, or it doesn't feel as like to borrow a word from the Yalabat, the shiok the one shock thing, like it's no longer the
It
shock
doesn't have
thing.
the meaning. It
Yeah.
feels meaningless.
Yeah.
And then I think Simon Sinek sort of like usually talks about things like professional sportsmen who retire.
Yeah.
Like the moment they retire, some people may have like gotten into other troubles.
Yeah.
In their personal lives because
They see it as just a chapter. This is the be all, and they base everything off that.
Yeah, they built their lives on a finite game, and when life is actually infinite.
Yeah.
So when your career ends, everything comes crashing down. Things like that.
Yeah. So what having an infinite game mindset encourages you to do, or encourages me to do, is to zoom out, and when we stop ourselves from being obsessed with like the short term, and we look at things in the long run, and in the context of like why, to relate it back to like why we are doing this also, is that we are doing this because we are genuinely interested in ideas and like talking about these things, and our conversations usually are like that. And then and it's not about the view count or growing audience, although yes, we will hope that you would like and subscribe.
Yeah.
But we are, more importantly, is that we enjoy this journey of like sharing what we are thinking and the ideas that truly excites us lah.
Yes.
So I'll put a link to the
and some values also
of what Simon Sinek talked about in like what he describes about in the Infinite Game.
Yeah. And some values also, like respect for all.
Yeah.
I think it's just a reminder, things like that. We believe that, life is difficult, and a bit of respect for your fellow man is important.
Yeah, and that's actually what I've learned, and it was really something that, compared to the past few, today I learned, I feel this was really like something I really like changed how I
Suddenly you
start
feel
to think.
woke.
Yeah.
Suddenly you like,
like the gym that.
Yeah. So today I would like to end the episode slightly differently. I have some sort of food for thought because I'm still thinking about it. So recently I saw someone post something. I shared it with you guys also. I shared it with you before. It's about this guy who has written a long Instagram threads commentary on the Sinkie Pwn Sinkie idea. Because I'm sharing this now because it's triggered by what you said earlier about the Infinite Game. Sinkie Pwn Sinkie is a very innate, it's a very common way of thinking in Singapore. We don't call it that ourselves, but the foreigners amongst us see it very clearly.
Yeah.
He cites examples of Singaporeans deliberately not hiring Singaporeans when they are in different contexts. Like if you are in another country,
or they make very disparaging comments.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I started to notice that, things that people always think that if you win means I lose. Very small-minded mindset. And he also sort of, in his commentary, said that we have this mindset because we grew up in an environment whereby you have the top 10 places in the class.
And then once these places are filled up, and that's it.
Correct. It's like there are only 4 Champions League spots. If you don't get it, means somebody else gets it.
So I have to place myself in the position to be able to get it.
Yes. And the only way to get it is to climb above somebody else or put somebody down.
Yes.
Right. And also because we live in an environment where a lot of things are finite.
Yes.
We have a lot of we have finite space, we have finite resources. As much as we are generally very productive, GDP-wise per capita, and wealthy as a country, in fact, we have a higher GDP per capita than like the US even.
Yeah.
But the thing is that everything always feels very finite. Then you want to buy a BTO, right? You have to ballot. So having a chance to buy one house means somebody else doesn't get to buy it, because we live in a very small
I win, you lose kind of.
Yeah. We live in a very small packed environment where things are finite. However, I feel that yes, all these things are true, but I would just like to part with just one thought that actually the world is a lot bigger than Singapore.
Yeah.
There's a lot more out there, and
we need to zoom out.
Yeah, need to zoom out. Just like how we zoom out on our topics and try and take a bigger picture.
Yeah.
The world is actually a lot bigger, and there's a lot more to offer.
Yeah.
If you can't find it here, probably it's in JB at least.
Yeah.
But just think about it lah. There's more to a lot of things alive than just the life in Singapore and what it can offer. Perhaps you can find your answers elsewhere as well.
Yes.
Not asking you to be a quitter, but but just don't think that whatever you see here is the end of it.
Yep.
Yeah. So with that in mind, thanks very much for spending your time with us. Thanks for listening to us, Rattle On, and we hope to see you again soon and next week lah.
Yeah. So goodbye.
Bye.